Hello, lovers, and welcome back to Starring Cupid. Starring Cupid is here to talk about your favorite or least favorite couples and romantic pairings in films and TV shows. I am your host, your boy Zama.x, nothing more, nothing less, from the east, not the west, if it hurts, feel your chest. And today we will be talking about one of my favorite fictional couples, Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky. From my favorite rom-com of 2018 to all the boys that I've loved before. This episode is near and dear to my heart. I love them deeply. I have so many things to say. Let's immediately get into it. To All the Boys is one of the biggest Netflix produced films of 2019 and maybe their entire history. It is a Susan Johnson directed film. I don't know much about Susan. Like, this was the first film by her that I had heard of, but if it's anything to go by, she's really good. The movie is based on the novel by Jenny Han, who is the author behind. There's like 3 books in total. Forgive me for not knowing the titles. I've only read the first and second one, and I didn't have the heart to read the third one. But she is a very wonderful author. Like, I really enjoyed reading those books. So shout out to Jenny for that. This was adapted for the screen by Sofia Alvarez. She also doesn't have a lot of work under her belt, but she wrote the screenplay for this movie and its sequel, and she transcribed it so wonderfully without missing out important bits. I mean, there were important bits that she missed out, but I'm not here to talk about the books. She did great. She did a good job. Personally, I think she did a great job. And I enjoy the fact that the 3 main people at the head of this movie, with Jenny Han, Susan Johnson, and Sofia Alvarez, is that mostly women were kind of heading the story and a part of the story. And that was important because in this movie, you can see that women were involved or women were considered. And I'll talk about that more when I get to Lara Jean, because, ooh, that girl. But I also want to quickly mention the cinematography, because it was a very visually pleasing movie. Shout out to Michael Fumagani. He did a great job along with Susan Johnson. It felt like it was taken seriously because the shots were filled with effort and brightness and beauty. I appreciate that as a person that likes visually pleasing films. Thank you to those 2. And then we move swiftly along to our cast. Starring the relatively newcomer but killing it female lead, Lana Condor, as our Lara Jean. If you have watched anything X-Men related, you will probably remember Lana Condor from X-Men Apocalypse, a tragic movie that happened to a wonderful person. I'm so sorry, Jubilee. I'm so sorry. That's all I have to say on behalf of the fans. And then as our leading man, sorry, I can't breathe. Anyway, starring Noah Centineo as Peter Kavinsky. Now, I went through Noah Centineo's profile on IMDb, and they were listing movies that are like relevant and that they make sense, but all I could remember him from is those like old Disney Channel movies and those shows, you know, people that were fans of Austin and Ally, you know who Noah Centineo is, because he played like a relatively big character. But if you put the pictures of him in that show and him right now, you would think it's two completely different people. I just had to mention the fact that this boy changed over time. Go watch Austin and Ally, or go and look at his old clips on the show. Have a laugh. Have a good, solid laugh at that. And then we have to mention some notable actors on this cast as well. Janelle Parrish, who you might know from Pretty Little Liars if you're a fan of the series. She's great. She's a lovely person. She plays Lara Jean's older sister. And then we have John Corbett, who plays Dr. Covey, Lara Jean's father. Lovely movie dad. Loved him. And then we have my favorite family member, who's played by Anna Cathcart, Catherine Kitty Song Covey. I'm not going to speak about her now. I'm going to speak about her much later, because when I say favorite character, I mean favorite character. Seen this? If you somehow have never seen this film, firstly, I recommend you watch it. I'm not going to be those people that say that, oh, how dare you, you need to. You don't need to watch it to understand, but I recommend you do watch it. I mean, this thing is going to be filled with spoilers, so you probably shouldn't listen to this, then watch it. Just go do it. If you have watched this film and you don't recall too much, I'm here to summarize what happens. Essentially, what happens is a teenage girl pens down love letters to all her major crushes, and one day they're mysteriously mailed out. The situation is particularly awkward because two of the recipients are her sister's ex and her rival's on and off again boyfriend. The girl and the rival's boyfriend strike a deal to pretend to be a couple in order to make the rival more jealous and to avoid talking to her sister's ex. Things get complicated when one of them doesn't want it to be fake anymore. Now, I'm going to completely ignore the existence of the second book and the second movie. I'm so sorry, but I just want to talk about this couple before all the things in that second movie happen, because that's their prime, that's their best time. So I apologize for that. And once again, I must reiterate, spoiler alerts will happen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about this as if I'm talking to somebody that's watched it with me. So if you don't want that, I suggest you take a pause. We'll always be here. I mean, unless I get another panic attack and I delete this entire thing. But that won't happen. So let's get into our couple. There are many different couples in this movie because it's primarily a romantic comedy, but I particularly love Lara Jean and Peter the most. The way they get together isn't original or like new to cinema. There's tons of movies and sitcoms that have used this, hey, you and me, let's pretend we're dating thing to kind of push the story. And almost every time they use it, the fake couple always becomes a real couple, like near the end. And one of my favorite movies where this is an instance is The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. It's funny to me because this will never work out. Like, you'll never really stay a fake couple because you are following the basic laws of attraction, where you are finding out things you have in common with this person. You're in close proximity all the time. Something's bound to shake. Maybe you won't fall in love, but something's bound to shake. For me, this was the first movie where I saw them fall in love before the movie ended. It was a relationship and it's all great for a total of 5 minutes, and then disaster strikes, and it's unfortunate. It's so unfortunate because I was really getting into the real version of Covinsky. Yes, they have a ship name. It's Covinsky and it is their official name. We use official names over here. And I really liked their dynamic when everything felt real. I wish we had seen more of that before things went tits up, you know? Like, I wish that they had at least given us more than the hot tub scene and the bus ride to get used to this. I feel like we deserved way more. I mean, the sequel made up for it, but we said we're not acknowledging that girl, so I just wanted more Kavinsky. Now, when you're talking about the pair, the couple that we're talking about, I want to look at them individually first and then tell you why they make sense together. And I'm going to start with my love, my heart, Peter Kavinsky, because, like with Peter, the writers made sure that we knew that he could be a great boyfriend, and they made sure from the jump that we knew that this man is boyfriend material. I kid you not, he shows up in the 11th minute of the movie and immediately does a cute thing. Oh my goodness, he's just like a little puppy dog when you immediately meet him, and it makes him so lovable. And I love that because usually when there's a heartthrob character like Peter in these teenage rom-com films, they make him mean or self-centered. So they do that so it feels like Lara Jean has like been the girl that changed him. Like, oh, she turned this bad dark jock boy into this sweet, like, I hate it. I hate that. It reinforces this idea that we like men that are mean to us, number one. And number two, it's like make it okay to like nice people. In media, make it okay to like people that are nice to you. And he's so nice to us as well. So like aside from Lara Jean, he's just a little perfect boy, relatively speaking, considering the circumstances. He's a little perfect boy because he's so kind and sweet to everyone. He's sweet to women. He's respectful and super adorable with Kitty. He's respectful and like there's like nice banter and communication between him and Dr. Kavi. And everywhere he goes, it just feels like he's lovely. Like everyone loves him, but he's not taking advantage of that admiration. He's not making it about himself. He's not self-centered in this. He's lovely and he's humble, and Peter Kavinsky is a lovely young man. I'm gonna stop saying the word lovely because my producer is judging me, and I'm sorry that I'm kind of like I'm sold. Peter Kavinsky was sold to me, and I bought him because what a lovely human being. I'm gonna stop saying lovely. And there's this other beautiful thing where he genuinely tried to be a good fake boyfriend to Lara Jean. She talks about how she's never really had romantic experiences, and it's unfortunate that her first experience has to be fake, but Peter makes sure she knows, like, okay, this is me boyfriending. He boyfriends the right amount and a little bit more sometimes, which I guess in this case would be more painful for Lara Jean because now she knows that she cannot get this, and that's a bit woof. And you think that this is all that he is. You think that this is all Peter can be, just like the soft and charming boy, but he knows when it's time to stop that. Because there's a beautiful moment in this movie where people are bullying Lara Jean still about that weird hot tub situation thing. And she is upset with him. She's like, you knew this happened, you let this happen. And in the moment that she's running away from him in this upset huffle, Lara Jean's best friend Chris stops him and asks him, okay, you see what people are doing to her right now, what are you going to do about it? Usually in movies, this is when the jock has like this moral conflict, like, oh, do I defend my girlfriend or do I defend my reputation amongst these people? I don't know why they have that as a conflict, but they have it. And then you get Peter Kavinsky, who saw that and he shut it down immediately. He turned around and he said, you guys will stop harassing this girl or there's going to be a problem. And that is attractive. That is so attractive to women, not just me, it's so attractive because you would like to know that the person that you love or the person that loves you is willing to defend your honor on sight. They don't even have to actually do it. You are just attracted to the fact that they would do it. And he did it in a beautiful way. He's a lovely, soft, tall boy. Love Peter. And then I obviously have to talk about my main girl, my fave, Lara Jean song Kavi, who is the best romantic comedy lead character I've seen in a while, in a long time. Obviously, shout outs to the OGs, to the greats, to the people that paved the way. I love them too. Lara Jean feels like the classic rom-com leading lady that we love from those kind of movies. And she's mixed with all these wonderful things of a modern day lead. It's kind of like a beautiful marriage between the two that she portrays. And I want to once again shout out to the people that did the screenplay, Jenny Han, who wrote the books and wrote this beautiful character, and Lana Condor for kind of bringing it all home. She's a fellow hopeless romantic, like a podcast host that I know, which is pretty meta, and she's not experiencing the romance that she is reading about or seeing in movies and stuff, and it's hard, it's difficult. And then she gets Peter, and if you didn't get this from what I've been saying before now, Peter is a dream. Literally, he's a dream. He's a great first boyfriend to have. He feels like something out of a romantic comedy if we were treating this like it was reality. So imagine for a moment that you are this hopeless romantic and you have this chance to be with someone worthy of your romantic desires and fantasies, but it's not real. Like, you can't claim them because you guys agree that this thing isn't real. So you have to do what Lara Jean did, and that was be dizzy. I would be as dizzy as she was. And I love that she's also very in touch with her feelings. So you can see the pure agony in her that she can't express her truest feelings to Peter because they made this deal, they made this promise. And she still finds other things to be vulnerable with him about. They talk about their relationship with their parents. She talks about her mom's passing. He talks about his father issues. They still find a way to form this emotional connection that's like genuine and beautiful. And it's not just Peter talking to her and confiding in her the whole time, as men tend to do to anyone. Peter is also listening to her. Like, it's a kind of equal emotional relationship that's going on. And she can't claim that because it's not real. That's agony. And I love Lara Jean for other reasons. She's not perfect, obviously, because I don't think anyone's perfect. Forget what I said about Peter Covinsky. I don't think anyone's perfect. And that's wonderful. It's wonderful that she's a leading lady who has these imperfections and these flaws, and she's messy, and she has moments of immaturity, and she has lots of realistic reactions to awkward situations. Like there's a scene where she rolls out of her window to avoid talking to Josh. And I watched that and I was like, same. I would do the exact same thing to get out of anything. I feel when she cleans her room when she's sad. Listen, at this point, all I'm here to tell you guys is that I'm Lara Jean. I'm her, she's me, we're the same gent. And I think that's why I adore her so very much and so deeply. And I deserve a Peter Kavinsky. Sorry, that's not what this podcast is about. Now, the relationship works for a number of reasons, but my favorite reason is the big C word: chemistry. I'm sorry, I make terrible jokes. Chemistry. These two have chemistry. They are two wonderful people that are wonderful in their own reasons, have flaws that they have, but when you put them together, the way they talk to each other, the way they act when they are around one another, the wonderful things that they bring out in each other. These two have chemistry, and it is so strong. Oh my goodness. I'm eternally grateful to Jenny Han because she didn't entertain the idea of Lara Jean being with Josh, the sister's ex that she wrote the letter about. Because I feel like maybe on screen and even a little bit in the book, they didn't have that natural chemistry, that thing where you look at these two people and you're like, yes, this makes sense. They looked like friends or neighbors, which is what they were. And thank God it's what they stayed as. Peter and LJ looked and felt and acted like people that were in love with each other, people that had good chemistry. They were selling it to me, they were selling it to the audience, the people at school. They sold it to their peers at school, and it was good enough to convince all of them that, yeah, no, they're the real deal. Characters. The actors acknowledged that, no man, this chemistry is there. They confided in people and told them, like, no, at their first readings and their when they were shooting, they could feel it, everyone else could feel it, and I'm glad that they had it because it showed in their characters as well. I can't speak on chemistry I'm not an expert, but I just know that I felt what I felt. And it's because of little things that they did that kind of sold us this idea of them being a couple. From the pocket spin in the cafeteria to, I don't know how to tell you guys about this thing and not sound like a weakling. There's a height difference between Peter and LJ, obviously. I googled it. Noah Centineo is about 1.85 meters tall and Lana is about 1.6. I converted it to meters because metric system. When they're together, obviously Peter has to look down and Lana has to look all the way up, and whenever there's a scene where they have to kiss, Lana usually comes to Peter and then Peter leans maybe an inch forward. Sometimes Peter does this thing where he leans forward and he takes his arm and not necessarily picks her up, but I say it's a swoop because it's the sound that it sounds like in my head. He swoops her up in kind of this comforting hug situation to nearly level them so that they are face to face and nearly level. It's not even a proper thing to find attractive, but it is, because it's just like, oh, she's this beautiful little fairy that he loves, and he's just gonna protect her with his one right arm, and that's enough. I'm talking about this in a weird way, but if you see it, you'll understand what I mean. There's something really yeah, I'm flustered. I'm sorry. The point of the matter is that it's little things like that made me believe, okay, these two, they're the couple that I want to be a part of, and I'm happy for both of them. I'm happy they have found each other. No disrespect to the real actors, actual partners and stuff. I hope you guys are happy in your respective relationships. I'm not saying anything about your respective relationships, but I'm just saying that you guys, they sold it to us. It was a little too convincing for me. That's all I will say on the matter. I love them. I think they're perfect for each other. I think they're adorable. Once again, I'm not acknowledging the sequel. That's why I'm saying this. I know I presented this as a podcast that would focus on love, but I cannot speak about these movies without speaking about the movies themselves, because you don't just consume things in little pieces, you consume them as a whole. And as a whole, I enjoyed this movie. But there were also a few flaws that I want to point out. Nothing major, because it's damn near perfect. one of the things that I really liked about this, like I mentioned before, is it is visually pleasing. Beyond the shots that are lovely and gorgeous, it has a wonderful aesthetic that is soft and very romantic that I enjoyed. The people that designed Lara Jean's bedroom, I want them to design my bedroom. That bedroom was beautiful. It told us everything we really needed to know about Lana before she said a word to us. And I like when you can see a character's personality in the spaces that they have control over. That was a beautiful touch. I love the Kavi family because they're so cute. They're adorably this like tight-knit family. They genuinely love each other, and beyond loving each other, they enjoy spending time together. I understand that Dr. Kavi probably tried to enforce this family thing after their mother passed away, but it doesn't feel like he's forcing his daughters to be together. They enjoy being together genuinely. They love spending time together, and I think that's the cutest thing ever. We need more of that in media. I feel like they make families hate each other for content, and you don't have to do that. That's a bit weird, actually. But anyway, that's just me. I cannot speak about this movie without mentioning the music. The music is brilliant. It is very coming of age movie, but also John Hughes romantic comedy, and also modern enough for the time. Like it is appropriate for the time being. They're not using old songs the whole time to kind of feed off people's nostalgia. They're using modern songs. There's a song by Blood Orange in there that I absolutely adore. The song that they use for the hot tub scene, Lovers by Anna of the North. Oh my goodness, what a great song. And then I have to spend some time to talk about my favorite character, like I said, Kitty, Lara Jean's little sister. Oh my goodness. I don't have a Lara Jean. Wow. I don't have a little sister, but I would imagine that if I did, she'd be something like Kitty. I love how she's sassy and she's cute and she's honest, and she doesn't do anything kind of evil sistery that people like to make little sisters do. Everything she does is with like genuine intent to better her sister's life. Yes, it was a terrible idea to mail out the letters, but listen, it got the ball rolling. My queen got the ball rolling. The funniest thing is when Lara Jean is chasing her around and she's trying to explain why she did it. She says that she sent it out because she could tell that she liked Peter. And then Lara Jean asks her, okay, then why'd you send all 5 of them? And my queen says, hey, 5 is better than 1. She was literally like, it's better to shoot all the shots because at least someone would reply. That was hilarious. I love her so much. I wanted a little sister like her. My goodness. And then overall, it's a rewatchable movie. I watch this movie anytime it's kind of cold or I feel like enjoying something that will make me smile at the end of it. It's a really good romantic comedy that you can just keep watching. I think I rewatched it a week or 2 after the first time I watched it. Oh, fun fact, this is the movie that made me get Netflix. I used my 30-day trial to watch this, and then obviously I watched it again, still on that 30-day trial, and I just decided, no man, let me just stay here for a while. So shout out to this movie for making me a subscriber. But now we have to get to the flaws of my fave. And there's not a lot, honestly. Like I said before, there's not a lot, but there's enough that I have to talk about. And the number one flaw in this whole fucking thing is Genevieve. I hate Jen. I hate her. I know they tried to redeem her character because she's sad. So they try to push this narrative that, oh, she's mean because she's sad. Boo-hoo, Jen. She's a villain. I dislike her so much. There's nothing you can tell me that will make her a nice person in my eyes. Gone with her. And then I also don't like, there's a scene that happens after Peter messes up with Jen. Ugh. and he comes over to Lara Jean's house. I think it's either Christmas Day or the day before Christmas, and he causes like this scene. And I remember what I said about how your man must defend you at any time. I remember what I said, guys. I know I said that, but this was not the time. Like, I wanted Peter to read the room, and I wanted Josh to read the room, and then Margot came in, and I will skip past that scene as many times as I can, just to avoid ever seeing it ever again, because it shouldn't have happened. It was so annoying. I was mad at everyone. I think that was one scene where I was actually upset with every single person involved. But I don't like Josh anyway, so. And then everything else that really upsets me about the movie happens in the second one, if that makes sense. Like, everything that I want to complain about is majority of those problems are in the second movie. And because I'm not talking about the second movie, you just have to know that these are the only two things I disliked about this movie. And maybe that's a bit too kind to them, I don't know, but this is how I felt. Overall, it was good. It was great for a rom-com in the modern day, and I appreciate that. We have reached the almost end of the show, and I wanted to add a segment that felt like I was talking to you guys directly or involving you guys in the conversation. Obviously, you can talk to us about anything we've said in the whole episode, but I wanted something specifically for you guys. So we created a segment called Who's Your Fave, where every week after I talk about the couple of that week, we will give you the options of two couples in like a head-to-head battle, and I'll create a poll once the episode is put up, and you as the listeners, the lovers, get to decide which couple you prefer. It's not necessarily the couple you think is better, but it can be like the couple that you just enjoyed watching or enjoyed seeing more than the other. It doesn't have to be that deep, guys. I'm not going to add my opinions on the couples because I want this to be a decision you make. I want you to think about this and decide who you feel it is. This week on Who's Your Fave, we have two couples that were in a similar situation as Lara Jean and Peter, where they had to pretend to be a couple until they turned out to be a real couple. And in our left corner, we have Margaret and Andrew from the movie The Proposal. I referenced it quite early on in the beginning. It's that movie with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds where they essentially have to pretend to be engaged so that Sandra Bullock's character is not shipped back to Canada. Heavy stakes. And then in our right corner, we have Rose and David from We're the Millers, the movie with Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis, when they have to pretend to be a married couple to push dope across the border. They both have high stakes, as you can see. So I wouldn't be shocked if you guys can't decide right now. But you know what? It's up to you. I'm not gonna give you my input. I have a clear favorite. I'm not gonna tell you until everyone else decides. But tell me how you feel about them. Express yourselves, listeners, lovers. Imagine if these couples were real. Okay, that's a bit too much. I mean, just pick your fave, because it's Who's Your Fave. And that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on our first real episode. Thank you to Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky for being the couple that they are. Thank you, Jenny Han, for that beautiful movie. I will see you next week. Hopefully, same time, same place. If you want any new updates on episodes or who we're going to talk about, follow us at Starring Cupid on Twitter, and we have Starring Cupid the podcast on Tumblr. Have a wonderful week. I love you all. Goodbye.